Well, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of I Do a Thing with My Computer, and today that thing is installing this graphics card. You know, this graphics card. This is a kind of a thing that's been a long time coming, and I've been kind of waiting on this exact video for like 1.5 years as of now, but I'm finally executing on it, and technically it's a week late. On the little short-term calendar that I have, because I was hoping to have it as a New Year's thing, but the Amazon seller I was buying from was like, how does when you the 2 days after you go back into school sound? But anyways, so if you didn't watch last week's video, you may have realized that I put my gaming PC into a new case, because the one it was originally in, none of the parts really fit perfectly in it, and unfortunately, the cable management was nowhere to my liking at all, and, you know, because there wasn't that area where you could neatly stash all the cables behind it, and so, yeah. But the next order of business that I wanted to tackle was getting myself off an iGPU, because for most of my life, most of my computers ran off of iGPUs, which is not really a good way to live life, especially when you're on a gaming PC. In fact, I'm probably going to be popping up some of the B-roll that I shot before I did this upgrade, where I show what performance is like from an iGPU, especially one of like 1.5 years ago. It's not that great if you haven't noticed, but yeah. So I kind of desperately needed a graphics card, especially for a gaming PC, so I found this. This is an RTX 2060 that I got as a renewed under Amazon's renewed program. So if I remember right, I think somebody actually just traded this GPU in. They're like, "Ooh, new 3060 just came out. I'm gonna trade this graphics card in, this crusty old thing in, and you know, and one man's trash, another man's treasure." And well, I picked this thing up for $230, so pretty good deal, you know. Seller took 2 weeks, but oh well. Anyways, so yeah, this is one of ASUS's ones. It's one of their single fans. 6 gigs of RAM on it, and yeah, it's a pretty solid thing. I was originally going to do a 3050, but a lot of my friends in fact, the person who I'd been working on Visualized with, kind of recommended me against it, and was like, yeah, you should probably consider the 2060, because yeah, it's a good idea. And more importantly, shortly after that video, Christmas happened. In fact, the day I uploaded that video, Christmas happened, and my Christmas present literally this year was a monitor, a gaming monitor nonetheless. So this kind of came at the right time, because, well, you know, because now I could actually do real gaming with a real gaming monitor. So I'm pretty excited to get this graphics card in, and let's cut to my attempt of doing that after all this time. Alright, so let's get started by removing the computer from its natural habitat, unfortunately. Boy! Oh, this is a heavy beast. It's going to be much heavier with an actual graphics card in it. Alright, so here we are back at the case again. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we're finally putting our power supply to good use, because let me get the finger screws out of here. You'll probably see it a little better. In fact, you could probably see it right now. I am using a 550 watt power supply of the Corsair CX range. You know, ASUS recommends 500, so I don't have to do that upgrade. In fact, if anything, on the iGPU, that power supply was actually kind of overkill. So, yeah, but yeah, ASUS recommended 500 watts, which is a good enough number for me. Hopefully it's, you know, hopefully it's just 500 watts for the entire system and not 500 for just the thing. And yeah. Okay, so first order of business, remove PCI covers. Yeah, I mean, you know, I haven't done this in a while. I haven't even done this at all, because I had to spend a few minutes actually trying to dig this beautiful connector out, because I never use these things. Now that I'm not on an iGPU anymore, well, you know, I gotta put it on a completely different thing. Yeah, we've got a chunk of a card. There we go. Okay, and because we're going to be using PCI, we've got one of those fancy PCI lever thingos. Come on, get in there. Okay. I think that's in. Well, it's clicked in, I think. Yes, that is a click in. Good, good, good. Now we need to screw it in, because, you know, what's a graphics card without being, you know, we need support here. Well, there we go. That's half the battle done. Now, we need extra power, because you can only run a graphics card, because, you know, these graphics cards, they are so powerful, even though this is entry level. Well, there we go. There's our new GPU hooked up, kind of lazily with this just hanging out because we don't have a second power port. But oh well, it's not like it really changes anything or will ruin something. It's mainly for me to kind of gawk at and kind of be like, and maybe somebody, in at least one guy in the comments, to kind of yell like, it's not how that's supposed to look. But anyways, so yeah, let's close up the case and get on with things. Alright, so I kind of just booted it with like the GPU running in kind of like a bare, not really doing very much mode. And, well, look at that, it booted. Haven't plugged in the keyboard, the mouse, or anything extra like that, so I'm probably just going to shut it down for now, and yeah, we'll get those last few things on there. But yeah, alright, so I've reconnected all the things and all the parts and stuff in there, and yeah, it is connected and all that, because yeah, it all shows up, and yeah, now we actually get the full advertised 165 hertz that this new gaming display that I have can actually handle and work with. And yeah, now it's even more buttery smooth than expected. Let me just check with the terminal and all that. So yeah, it is detecting the 2060 in there. If I can actually kind of make the text a little bigger. In fact, I need to make it a bit more bigger so NeoFetch actually shows up. But yeah, if I zoom in a bit and kind of adjust the focus, you can see I've got a 2060 on here. So yeah, there we go. I don't think I have any drivers on here, and yeah, and it actually looks kind of nice in there. It doesn't have any RGB like I said in the past, but it does in fact have a little white LED to tell you that you have in fact plugged in an actual power supply thing. Clearly there might be some drivers in there, but I do need to kind of go and get actual drivers for this thing. I don't know if I have a Nautilus installed or whatever the hell the NVIDIA drivers are for these for all those graphics cards and all that. And yeah. So yeah, this is already pretty smooth, I guess. But yeah, I do have to get the actual NVIDIA drivers on here. And so yeah. So as it was, I did actually have the actual open source NVIDIA drivers, or as they're called, the no-vow drivers. They were pre-installed, and unfortunately, a lot of games ran poorly on it. Most notably Minecraft, which usually isn't one that makes use of GPU as much, really. So after a quick bout of installing the latest NVIDIA drivers that apparently exist on Linux, yeah, it seems to work just fine, and you know, it plays very nicely with all of the games that I've thrown at it, and yeah. And so this next bit of video is going to be kind of, or this current bit of video, because this is probably a bit of a rambly bit, is showing what performance is like. And yeah, performance is pretty good for the kind of stuff I like to do on these computers and stuff. And yeah, the RTX stuff is actually pretty enjoyable. I've been playing a bit of the Portal RTX most notably, and yeah, it looks really cool, and yeah. Alright, so there we are with the new graphics card in place. So yeah, this thing's actually pretty powerful. You know, I am running screen recorders and stuff when I'm doing these tests, and the test footage you see will probably not be representative of full performance, but it will be representative of some performance. So, you know, so stay strapped in for a bit of stuff like that. And if you like this kind of content, don't know how much more of this I'm gonna make, but there's the subscribe button, and if you like it, well, there's also a like button for that. But anyways, so yeah, so there we go. Very powerful little graphics card we got there, and yeah.